Well, welcome to another edition of the full 80 minutes on Show Me the Money Rugby League TV. I had a week off last week. I'm back. My immune system's still a little bit compromised, hence why I look like I'm just going to the North Pole. But we are back on a very, very cold, misty morning here in North Yorkshire. But it's good to be back, Craig, Jimmy and Joe. We are going to do our World Cup Dream Team.
Let's go.
And what we want from you lovely people, the loyal viewers of the full 80 minutes in the comments, is you put your World Cup Dream Team in the comments, and the winner, as selected by Craig, Jimmy and Joe, they'll have a look at how closely it resembles what we come up with, will win a pair of tickets to a rugby league game from the opening rounds fixtures next season. So that's a nice prize to win, a pair of tickets to a rugby league game of your choice. Doesn't have to be Super League, it could be even Championship or League One. But yeah, coming up on the show today, we're going to do the Dream Team. We're going to have a very, very hearty debate about IMG and the current lie of the landscape in rugby league, which I think is going to be interesting. We've got a little bit of transfer news and some gossip. And yeah, we're just going to try and keep it positive rugby league like we've always done. You know, if it's constructive criticism, you take it, you improve the game and you move on. But yes,
just a quick one on that. We will do our dream team now. What we want is somebody who can beat ours. So we'll vote the winner of the challengers beat ours. Simple as. If we pick that and we're honest people, if somebody we look and go wow, they'll get the 2 tickets to the opening game of their choice.
So there you go. Well, we know the final, of course, was Australia against Samoa. Australia, there were heavy favourites going into the World Cup, and guess what? The bookies were spot on. Australia did do the Jews at Old Trafford with that win against Samoa. So we're going to do the Rugby League World Cup Dream Team.
Let's
Obviously,
get in it.
We're going to start with somebody who has to coach the Dream Team to start with. So we are going to pick a coach. I'm going all out. Mal Meninga, legend of the sport. Legend of the sport. I'm sorry, Mr. Wayne. I'm sorry, Mr. Maguire. Matt Parrish as well. Oh, you know what? He comes incredibly close. But I'm sorry. It's got to be Big Mal for me. Over to you guys. Who's coaching our Dream Team?
For me, you've got to have Matt Parrish in. What he's done with that Samoa team is unbelievable. To make the final, beat England after the bit of loss on the first game, the way they constantly improve for me, Mick. I think Australia kept at that steady rate, and I love how Samoa got better and better. So I've got Matt Parrish leading the troops into my World Cup Dream Team.
Jimmy?
I'll have... Well, I like... You were saying last week about Meninga being a good manager. So I think Parrish... I would give him the coach of a World Cup for what he did in turning him around after that first game and getting him improving, like you said, Joe. But to be someone to manage the superstars and this sort of dream team, I'd go with Meninga as the main man, as a man manager and handling all those different names from different teams.
I've got the same 2 guys quickly, so I'll make it easy. We'll go Mal Meninga coach, assistant coach, and Matt Parrish. That is our coaching staff. We've all agreed. We've all threw the same 2 names in. Yeah. So we can make that call quick.
Yeah.
Would Parrish take that role as assistant, do you think?
And I'll just make a very, very short call because you need a support staff. Mark Dunning, of course, was the assistant coach of Scotland. Mark, you're getting some experience. You're going to be working with Mal Meninga and Matt
Parrish. That's ridiculous. They got beat by 50 nearly every game. We cannot throw that in. We love Mark, but you cannot throw that in.
Right, I
There's
retract
65
that
coaches in there who would come above that at the moment. You know, we love Mark.
Would probably have a go.
There'd be some.
Yeah, you know. I know. Lee Radford did polarise supporters' opinion, trying to get the Samoan players off the disciplinary, but I guess Lee Radford was only doing his job.
Well, Lee would be up there, based on what Lee did and arrived in the final as an assistant in his first year at that. It was a fantastic achievement.
Fullback.
I'll start. I can make this easy.
Well, we've already spoken off air. I think me and you were going to go for the same player.
Well, I wouldn't. Up to the final, I wouldn't have gone for this player. I wouldn't have gone for this player up to the final. He's the best fullback in the world. He's been the best fullback in the world for 5 years. Potentially the best fullback in before that at West Tigers, before he moved clubs. His performance in the final, if you want to know what the modern day fullback is, just look at that. He without doubt, without doubt, for me, single-handedly the best player in the world based on that performance in the final, and has been for 5 years. James Tedesco, athlete among men. They say he's one of the fittest blokes in any sport, by the way. They've done a thing on him saying his overall meters, his overall efforts, his overall energy in a game is based on any top 5 10 athlete in the world. This kid is at his prime. You won't see him that were it. You've probably got here's one for you in any World Cup. Very hard to get a player in his prime at a World Cup who gets to the final. You get to watch him like we did. You saw a player who was regarded the best fullback in the world. And there's no argument on that, by the way. You can get 50 people that can't throw another name in a fullback to comprehend him. But we also got to see him at his best in the biggest occasion. What do the best players do? They perform on the highest occasion. He saved his best for last. And that's why James Tedesco will start as my fullback.
Jimmy?
Yeah, exactly the same as that. I mean, before the final, you would have picked Swally.
Yeah.
Manu was an half and half as Manu were challenging him, but what he did in the final, I mean, what?
And a few people were definitely rightfully so saying we've not. You asked a question, didn't you, the show before? And I said, well, we've seen glimpses of Tedesco, but yeah, he saved his best to last, cementing that. It would be ridiculous not to have him.
I'll disagree with you, lads. I've got the 2 names you've mentioned above Tedesco. I think if we're judging it on the world, not on the best player, but on the World Cup and your performances throughout the whole of the World Cup, not just the final, you've got to have either Swally or Joey Manu as the fullback. I believe what Manu did single-handedly for New Zealand in the semi-final to get them have a chance was utterly remarkable. He dominated the group stages. I criticise him a bit for not keeping it fluid, but I guess when he was that good, it doesn't matter. He dominated throughout every stage, and then what Swali did throughout the quarterfinals and against England in the semi-finals, and I guess the latter 2 group stages, he played unbelievable. So and even in the final, he gave it a good go. So I've got them 2 for overall longevity over the World Cup.
Swally were poor first 3 games. Shocking.
Not for the first game, he was poor.
Second were average.
No,
got
he was
better
very good in the second.
Tedesco did 240 metres in semi-final, and they didn't say he had a good game. That's how good. Remember, his bar's that high. He can do a 240 game, and we say he's quiet.
I don't think he was good, but I've got Joey Manu's performance.
I like the
Joey Manu took over him in the fact, and Swally, what he did. I disagree with you there. In the next 2 group stages, he played fantastic, and then in the quarterfinals, played unbelievable against Tonga, and then against England, played unbelievable as well. So I've got them 2 over Tedesco playing steady.
It's ridiculous.
I don't think
it's
ridiculous.
You can't say that because you're on record up until the final saying you've got Swally
as your player of the tournament.
No. I would have had Manu.
You didn't. Let's watch.
Swally, I love that. Let me finish. I love Swally was improving, and I said, "Oh my God, we might see the emergence of what we thought were going to be a superstar." But all game were rested in the final. Tedesco scored, but he scored immensely. I think his stats in final would stack up at any player in history.
Yeah,
he was absolutely rinsed.
That's right.
And the gears, the best players have got gears, haven't they? He just give you it when it mattered.
Yeah, but what we're judging this criteria, what we're judging the criteria, if we're judging it on the best player, you'd pick. Yeah. No offence, let's just pick most of the Australia side.
No.
Minus a couple from New
Tedesco
Zealand.
was going through the tournament. We wanted more because you want more of the best players. We want more of the best players. He delivered more.
But we got that more from both Swally and Joey Manu throughout
Manu's semi-final
whole of the tournament. Joey Manu, some of his tries in the group stages were ridiculous, frankly.
Certainly not as ridiculous them in final of him.
So we've got 2 for James.
Yeah, they were better.
2 for James Tedesco, of course, the captain of the Kangaroos. Joe, you've gone for Joey Manu.
Yeah, I'll go Joey Manu.
Wow. Well, I said to Craig, I don't want this to be full of Australians. I was tempted to go for Joey Manu myself.
Come on, mate.
But Craig said He's got to fit him in. He said he's got to fit him in. He's got to fit him in. If I go Joey Manu, we've already got a split decision straight away, so I don't want that. I'm going to go with James Tedesco as well, like you say, Craig. You're right, those types of players, you look at your Darren Lockyers before him in that sort of role, you know, they do have that ability to raise the bar.
I'm not saying I'm not picking Manu, by the way. I'm picking Manu.
No, we're not allowed to do that. I'm putting my stamp down. We can't do that out of position stuff. That's not in the spirit of the World Cup.
He is, Joe.
You're only saying that because you want him in. That's the debate. That's the tough Jack Wellsby debate.
Don't matter.
Take Jack Wellsby out of half of your Super League dream
team.
You
can do it. You've done it.
Like you're passionate about.
100%. But I'm having Manu in my team.
Sam, are you able to record
these
down? Yeah, so we've got James Tedesco. Sorry, Joe.
You go against you contradict yourself. Let's watch the previous video.
Craig said he's got for Manu. He said he's going to put him in.
No, I mean, if you look at the Super League, if you look at the Super League Dream Team, Dad went mental. A lot of them out of position. Right. Where I defended it this time. Now he's changing the rules.
He's saying you're an hypocrite.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm saying
the good thing is about new comps, these new ideas that we're doing. I'm having Manu in my team. Or I'll leave it. I tell you what I'll do. You've out-jumped me. I might have had him on the bench.
Are we doing a bench? I didn't think we were doing a bench.
Yeah, we're doing a bench, so you're being totally against yourself.
Right.
If we're doing
there you go, wait.
I'm being loyal to myself.
Wingers. I think one picks himself undoubtedly. Josh Adokar. No one's going to disagree on that.
No disagreement.
Josh Adokar.
Not that easy.
You know, the top try scorer in the tournament.
4 votes, hands up.
Yeah, Josh Adokar. Yeah, we don't even need to discuss Josh Adokar and what he has achieved during this World Cup. Now, the other wing spot is going to be interesting because you're obviously going to be potentially looking at the winger for Samoa, Tyrone May, Brian Teo. You've obviously got Dom Young, who, in my opinion, is one of the coming-of-age World Cup players. I know he's got a lot of criticism from down under, and as somebody who religiously reads the media down under, there was a very, very fierce criticism of his defensive lapses in that semi-final to Samoa, which obviously we mentioned after the game, which ultimately, I think it was 2 tries which went down his side, but ultimately, you know, Dom Young, quite rightly, has to be in contention after what was a very largely positive World Cup. Craig, over to you. We've already locked in Josh Adokar. Who is on the other wing, on the left wing?
This is probably the hardest call.
It is quite hard.
To find another one out of about 10. I might sound like a broken record, but his kick return, Valentine's Holmes' kick return, was exceptional. I didn't have a massive read on him before the tournament. I certainly do now. Thought he was the best kick returner in the game. He looked awesome. I'm sorry for saying we've got 3 Australians in the back 3. It sounds like a broken record, but it is what it is. For me, Valentine was the best winger on show. The ability, Mick, of the Australian team to adapt to any situation, and I go back to it, that semi-final, when they just worked that middle out, how they did that, and any time they got tested. Everyone said England, if they'd have got to final, would have been one of the only teams. I've heard all my mates say we'd have given them a right game. I have to be honest. I totally disagree, Mick. I think we'd have got even more of what we got. It'd be more, because there's nothing better. What the Australians love to win. What do the Australians love to win best?
They love rolling the sleeves up, getting in that attrition.
No, but who do they like beating the best?
England, of course.
They absolutely make a living out of giving us it and sledging it. I think they'd have gone up another gear. I think they want the Samoa one, want bite, the artillery Samoa style. They did it afterwards, a lot of respect. I think they'd have come for us like absolutely hyenas.
100%.
And they'd have given us the best. And do you know what, for our sport, we might have bowed out gracefully in the semi-final. I actually think it wasn't a bad thing. I think sometimes you go...
I know what you're saying, Craig, and we've all been there at Ellen Road in, was it 04, when
I was there.
It was 38 points to 0 at half-time. And
they never let go, did they?
Everybody's this, myself, with his shell shocks, can't believe what we're watching. You know, we've all turned up at Ellen Road. This is it, you know, because we'd had we'd beaten them, I think it was at All FC, I think, at Cacon, we beat them. We're all there at final, and then we're crushed. You know, I don't think I could have personally put myself through that, because we've been there, done it, worn the t-shirt. But you're going with Valentine Holmes, Josh Adokar. We'll go with Jimmy.
I'll go to Joe, 'cause Joe's got some good points about some of the players in the group stages, especially, aren't you?
I hope he has now.
Yeah, I hope I do, Jim. I do. I think he's seen me do my little phone thing there. So yeah, I've got two names in particular. I've got Josh Mansour for Lebanon.
Yeah,
I think he played brilliant. He helped obviously them get past the group stage. As I mentioned, Lebanon Rugby League is banned in Lebanon, and they've come over from the heritage and come and played fantastic, got them through the group stages. I think Josh Mansour was a big part of that, obviously, along with Mitchell Moses. There were a few other great players in there, but I thought Josh Mansour played absolutely unbelievable. They made it a competition when Australia played Lebanon in the quarter-final, Josh Mansour versus the Australian wingers. No offence to Josh, the Australian wingers won, but maybe they had a strong team, and that certainly helped. So Josh Mansour, and then my next one, and he played, I think, another one for Tonga. Obviously, maybe a disappointing World Cup for Tonga, but Daniel Tupou, I think he was brilliant. Scored some brilliant tries. Did a brilliant job. So I've got Daniel Tupou in there also. Out of them two. Yeah, so we're just a nice little sandwich break there. So I had Dan Tupou, and I had my other one was Josh Mansour for both what they did in the group stages. Dan Tupou's athletic prowess was on full show, scored some magnificent tries. But I've got another name as well. I've got Jordan Rapiner for New Zealand as well. So I've got three wingers there that I'm really struggling to decide who I want on my third winger spot. But Rapiner obviously played for New Zealand, played very well. I think George King actually, when he came on the show, said how good they were out of yardage, and I think that was largely Joey Manu and also largely Jordan Rapiner's. I think it was them two. They were that quick and that fast and that tough out of their own yardage that they didn't struggle in that department at all. So,
no one throwing the Samoa winger in.
Well, I presume someone else would, but I've got my three there. So out of them three, I'm gonna go.
I threw him in at the start.
Yeah, Brian Toto. Yeah. I've got, out of them three, I really liked the way he played. He had some athletic tries, and I think he hopefully will be coming to Super League in a couple of years' time. So I've got Dan Tupou.
Jimmy?
I'm going to play my England loyalty card here, and although I agree with Craig that I think, strictly speaking, Valentine Holmes and it is, again specifically, his returns. But I think what Dom Young did to build the excitement for England and his role in the World Cup as a whole, and hopefully his influence on young kids who are going to become big fans of the game and stick with it. He had a tough semi-final, but at his age, with still heaps of progression to come, I'm going to stick him in there and play my loyalty England card. Although, you know, my head saying Holmes, my heart saying Dom Young. I'm going with my heart on this.
Well, I
got the deciding vote, mate.
Well, I think you know where I'm going. I bigged him up, didn't I? I said, yeah, he's had a few defensive lapses in that semi-final, but by and large, 21 years of age, welcome to the world stage, Dom Young.
Well, Dom, you better show me the new dream team.
So we've got our first English player. Right, on to the centres. I'll be honest, I'm going to go... Listen, if there's any Halifax fans watching this show, and you're probably going to outvote me on this, but the Italian centre, Jake Mason, he is going to light up the share in 2023. I know Halifax haven't put it out yet, but I'm well connected in Halifax Rugby League circles, and the deal is done. His visa has been secured. He will be in the Championship next year. And I go back to that performance, Italy against Scotland, where he scored the hat-trick, and he goes around Lachlan Walmsley, which is going to be interesting because they're going to be teammates next year. And let me tell you, that'll be one hell of an edge for Simon Griggs and Halifax, having Mason and Walmsley. That is going to pose some serious points. And when we come round to do our Championship season preview, I'll tell you now, those two will potentially be up there. But I'm going to go with Stephen Crichton because he broke English hearts. And I can't put any more Australians in there I know we're going to put Jake White and Lateral Mitchell, who's a big fan of you're a big fan of his, Craig.
He's a big fan of
I think he's a big fan of mine as well.
Yeah, well, you're a big fan of his. But yeah, I thought I'd go for two. Well, I won't say Stephen Crichton's the left field one, but I'm going to go Jake Mason, who had a fantastic World Cup for Italy. He secured a spot in the Championship with Halifax. Halifax Panthers fans, get ready. He is going to light up the share in the Championship next year. So yes, Jake Mason and Stephen Crichton, just for that game management and everything that he did with Samoa on that edge. Not just against England, but, you know, the old Samoa route to the final after that 60 points to 60 feet at St James's Park. To be honest, you know, I'm hoping there's quite a few more Samoan players that met the dream team, but I'm going to go with Stephen Crichton and Jake Mason.
Nice.
I think for my centre spot, it's tough, innit? I think the game needs some megastar centres. I think that it's probably the one position where I think throughout the whole of the leagues we're probably struggling a bit more than other positions. So a lot of them are like converted are centres but go to fullback because they can shine more there and probably have a bit of an issue with that. So I'm gonna go Papua New Guinea on this one. I thought he played very well. I really enjoy watching him. I think if any of the rugby league world that have had a phone call with me over the past few weeks, I compare a player I work with him a lot, and he's one of my favourite players to watch. I'm gonna go Justin Olam
in the World Cup.
Yeah. Clearly not got support from Dad there. Justin Olam at centre.
He played for Melbourne, but I don't see what else you've got win for you.
The group stages in the World Cup, I think he played very well.
Really?
I watched all of the games quite closely there. You might have not watched them as closely. I thought he played very well. Got loads of yardage set up. I think he had quite a few try assists. I can't remember the exact number. If any viewers can help me out with the exact number of try assists he got, but he was one of the standout Papua New Guinea players for me. And I've got Justin Olam in my World Cup dream team.
Who's the other centre?
Are we doing both?
Yeah, we're doing them all, yeah.
Oh, we're doing them both, bloody hell.
Well, you're not just going to have one centre, are you?
Well, I thought we'd do one centre and then the other.
I've done them both, mate.
Yeah, for my...
Crichton.
God, I'm not... I think for my other centre, you've got to go Australia. I don't think Latrell Mitchell gets even close. I've got to be honest. I think maybe I'm doing the Tedesco one where I expect that much of him. He didn't do enough for me. Obviously, Latrell, it's because I think you're probably the third best player in the world. So that's why I've said you've not done enough. But I've got Jack Whiten in there. I think he played phenomenal. He's a halfback. Well, he's actually a centre that went to halfback and they played him at centre again. I think he's absolutely unbelievable, tough, great in defence, and he'd say he's a halfback and he's unbelievable defence. I've got Jack Whiten.
I'm laughing here because I can see we're all going to have different centres, but listen, we can argue it out.
I like your Italy man though. He played really well.
He did play really well.
As a left field shout.
And this is what I'm trying to do. I don't want this. I don't want my dream team full of Aussies and Kiwis because they've dominated the world stage. So I thought we'd put a bit of Italian.
Well, that's how we get themselves into the dream team.
I thought we'd put a little bit of Italian and Halifax flavour in.
He played really well. He did play really well.
I know a lot of Halifax fans. They go to me now for the Halifax Panthers.
Mixed in the last 10 minutes just trying to get one up on there.
No, it's all good.
Journalist wars.
There's no journalist wars at all. No. It's a pissing contest, I'll be honest. Jimmy, two centres.
Well, I suppose this is where do we try and squeeze Manu in? What we say? Are we playing?
Look at this! Old friends packs. Here we go.
Get him on the bench.
Are we saying it's a personal decision whether you do that or not?
We're going off what Dad was in uproar.
Jimmy, you do what's right.
Okay, well, I've done what's right for me. I don't like him not being in the team, but hopefully then I'll address it with the bench because I'm going to pick players who, from the positions we played in the World Cup. I love Jack Whiten. I always have done. And I think he was superb. So he's my number one choice centre.
Jack's locked in.
So we've got 2 for Jack.
I think Mick mentioned him as well as a possible candidate.
I did, yeah.
I just think he was, even in the games where Australia, we were saying, we've not hit full gas yet, we're not hit full gas, and certainly like it's bold to leave Latrell out of any team, isn't it? But for me, I thought what Whiten was, I thought he was brilliant in every single game. So he's in for me. And then I'm going to go for Crichton as well, because I like the fact that the rhyme, and it's quite cool. And also, he's had a couple of big highlight moments, and obviously, a couple of, again, for the World Cup as a whole, he's superstar level. So, I'm happy with them too.
There we go. Over to you, Craig.
Yeah, well, first of all, your ridiculous claim of putting the Italian centre in against some of the names we've mentioned.
He played brilliant.
He played brilliant and rewarding.
He was amazing.
Personal performance.
He got kicked out in first round. These lads have played 5 games.
That was Italy. They should have been.
Listen, Mick will get a couple of free drinks in Halifax. He's done it to Gold Mac Shaw. He's broke. I have not done
it to Gold Mac Shaw.
You have, and you've mentioned Halifax. Remember, I've done this show with you for a long time, Glenn. And let me just put something to you. You were the Bradford King, were booed out of Halifax in the day. That's when you were at your best. You were booed. Now you're embraced with open arms. He's here, the game caller, Mr. Halifax. You've got to stop that, because the Bradford fans have stuck by you for all them years. I know you like your drinking better now in Halifax, but this is not about drinking, son. This is not about any drinking games. This is about proper opinions.
It's got nothing to do with drinking.
So let me just give you a couple of things what I'm going to say.
I give you a left field. I didn't want the dream team.
So why didn't you put our centre from England who had the left centre who had a great time of it?
Oh, Farnworth.
Yeah, were he not good?
No, not in that conversation.
Oh, not as good as this lad.
For what do you mean? For Italy played.
For the World Cup. So you saying he was better than Farnworth?
I'm rewarding somebody
for his role in his World Cup.
Somebody who was a relatively unknown. He's come out of obscurity.
I'll give you a better unknown.
Well, I'll tell you what.
He's the unknown.
We know Rowan Smith watches this show. You speak to Rowan Smith and get Rowan's personal opinion.
I'll give you a better unknown.
Get Rowan's personal opinion on Jake Mason. He's come out of Queensland Cup obscurity, and that hat trick. I know. It wasn't just the one game; it was the other games. Look, we know what's happened with Italy. We know that never really stood a chance, Craig. We know they didn't get past the group stages, but
they did overperform. They did
overperform, and which was down to him.
Mick,
it's my comment.
Give you
it's my comment.
He's turning this into a Mick Glenn debate. It's not. It's not.
I'll give you one on left field. What you've done. Who's a little bit.
No.
Let me finish, please. Bit rude. I like handicap horses, but I like a group horse better. That gives you a little idea of what you're on about. The guy who played for New Zealand, who was at Salford, was given nothing before the World Cup. He was a lot better than most. He was absolutely outstanding.
There we go. He's got his teams around. There we
go. Samoa. What's he called?
Tim Lafay.
Now that's a left fielder for you.
That's not a left fielder.
One of his mentioned. In fact, I'm not going to throw him under the bus.
He got in the Super League dream team.
Yeah, but I'm not going to throw him under the bus. There was somebody here, or at least one person here, said I didn't realise how good he was. I can't believe it.
You said it, didn't you?
And I know.
It were you.
No, it wasn't. So there was somebody in this room who said it, and he's obviously bottling it now.
I said it.
But again, it's ridiculous what you're saying. But I will go again.
That's not a left
I'll try and
fielder.
keep to what I'm trying to do, which is pick my best team, which would go on any World Cup of different eras, and I can stand up tall.
Yeah.
If Stephen Crichton has got to go in.
Well, he's in. He's locked in.
I'm changing my. Well, we've locked in Jack Whiten, didn't we?
Come on, we're going to get through this. And Jack.
There you go.
And Jack would have been the best too. I would have put Mano in, but Joe's corrected me on the rules. I've got Mano on the bench.
We can have Mano on the bench,
I'd have him on the bench. So them two lads are the best centres. If you put it overall in the game, they're the best two centres. And potentially, it's not a bad call. But so far, looking at our squad, if Sam's putting it down and we're going to look at it at the end, we might stand up with any team in the world at the moment so far if we don't throw some Italian centres in from Halifax.
He was brilliant.
And respectfully so, I love watching him. That's not against him.
I have not.
You're not comparing. Come on.
But it's the World Cup
handicap horses
team.
Can't run in. Yeah,
it's the World Cup dream team.
We can't just say
he was the best performance.
You know, Mitch comment were there. I just don't want to put the best players in all time. Well,
no, my argument is...
You think Mal Meninga as coach, think Mal's going to say, hey, I tell you what, sorry, Jack, you're not playing. I'd like this guy playing for whatever, because it makes...
It's not the best team, because Latrell Mitchell has to be in the conversation.
Not in the World Cup.
Yeah, at the World Cup, Mason, at the World Cup, exactly.
You're saying your man had a better performance
than Crichton.
No,
it's ridiculous argument, that's what I'm saying. I get ridiculed, sorry Samoa fans, I know we've got loads here. This is ridiculous.
But I put Stephen Crichton in with Jake Mason, so that argument's flawed.
Well, you've put him over Whiten then. We've got Whiten and Crichton.
Yeah.
You're putting him above Jack Whiten in the World Cup.
Yes.
You'd lost any type of merit that people might think. You're on a shred left. Where are you going with this?
Well, I think Whiten and Crichton...
Dave Grayson, thank you for the hospitality at the Halifax camp.
That's exactly where you're going.
I'm winding him up. I'm winding him up. Listen.
I've got one, what you're doing there. And I'm going to save it. Let me finish.
I've done it as a left field.
Let me finish. I'm going to save it.
We'll give it.
He'll have his own left fielder, and then it'll be.
Right. He'll have a bit of merit. He'll have a bit of merit.
That does have merit.
Listen, why don't
let us know in the comments? Does Jake Mason being included in the discussion have merits? Yes or no?
In the discussion,
then Craig can look at the comments and they can. Yeah.
Why don't we
let our loyal viewers decide.
Mick, why don't we just all at the end pick one left field player that someone like that to chuck
There we go.
Jake Mason. I'll put in mine of the team but I can justify it.
Right, halfback, starting with you, Craig.
If I go before.
So Sam, what have you got for that, please?
Whiten and Crichton.
Right, there you go.
Yeah,
both picked.
We all agreed.
Yeah, we've got Jack and Stephen. Yeah. Over to you, halfbacks. What?
Well, my first halfback is the man I tipped before the tournament. It is a no-brainer for me. Jerome. Joe, give me the second because I get the second. Without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt. We walked the walk. And by the way, I picked this kid before the tournament. I'm stuck with him all the way through.
You did.
He walked the walk. He did as good as he could in that final. For me, the way the game is played, the modern way with a running halfback, but he impressed me with his kicking game, short and long, his competitiveness, his defence is off the scale. He fights every play at ball. He competes 80 minutes. By the way, he played every game. And he played every game to the extreme. So throughout the World Cup, how he could not be in one of the two halves would be ridiculous. I'm sure you've got somebody from France you're going to pull out just because you're probably going for a cafe in France next year for a drink. Why don't you pull out a couple more? I'm sure you've got 15 cafes you need to fill your food. I don't know what you're doing with
Craig,
it.
Not at all.
But I'm picking the best team. So my number's 7 or 6, we want to call it. 6
well, it's
on
a 6.
It's a 6. And my other halfback, again, I'll try and keep this as professional as I can, would be, and this is a bit of a left fielder for you, Moses.
That's not a left field. How is that a left field?
He never made the semis. Which usually a dream team you have to play progressively better and you have to get that's.
Oh, you daft.
So let me finish. Is it his first name is Mitchell Moses for me did enough in them early rounds. I do like my best players to get right to the end or at least the semis because you're missing out 2 performances.
Same argument.
I
want to blow my whistle, stop the clock, and say you're basically saying what I've just said.
It's ridiculous.
No, you've seen your performance at that level. I haven't seen your man at that level.
He scored a hat-trick.
My 2, Mitchell Moses.
Okay.
And my favourite player in the tournament, Jerome. I'm really happy what I'm putting together as my squad. I've got size, pace, I've got kick returns. I'm now putting in. I've even put it in 2 halves with best running game in my World Cup.
Right.
2 of them. So I'm going to run this ball from start to finish. I'm not sat in pocket kicking and slowing the ball down. We're running everything. And when I pick the hooker, you'll understand why. It's a bit above where you lot are at, but let's go.
Mitchell Moses. You've not watched him. You've made a comment. You've not watched that. That's
Jimmy.
What he did. He didn't run that
there
much. He dominated.
Come on, Jimmy Halves.
Yeah, this is getting scary because I've got the same as Craig, so I've got Lewi and Mitchell.
Don't feel scared. You probably
right. We're not against them 2 picks. They're my 2 picks as well. I think they were the 2 standout halves. I'd give George Williams a shout out. I think he had some brilliant performances in there. Come up at the big. He'd give it a go in the big moments, didn't he? He broke through the line twice in two of the games. I think he had brilliant performance. But yeah, I think the standout halves of the tournament were Mitchell Moses. It's not a left field pick, by the way. Let me just correct that. It's a very good, safe pick, if anything.
No.
He got to the NRL Grand Final.
The best player in the world.
Nathan Cleary,
you say?
No, he's not, because he didn't perform at the World Cup. So that's
Joe,
ridiculous. It's ridiculous what you say. It's a World Cup. It's not a best players pick because you pick the Aussie team and Mitchell.
I picked my best player. If you'll see when my squad comes out, I haven't missed one yet.
Yeah. Exactly, Mitchell Moses. No one disagreed. You're arguing like someone's disagreeing with you. Everyone disagreed, but he made the NRL Grand Final. He led Parramatta to the first final in 10 years. He's probably top 5 halfbacks in the world. He's not a left field pick. It's just very safe on his pick. And I've got Mitchell Moses and Joe.
You've said all that. You've got the same. Yes, mate.
Exactly. But your argument is ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Same as you.
You're daft. You don't listen. You don't.
I'll let
listen.
you go first next time.
Yeah, I will, and it's ridiculous what you've done.
I mean, we're all locked in anyway, Mick. But if
you are. You're all locked in. Yeah. Well,
you're out of it. What would you have picked though? Have you got somebody who
I was going to put.
I knew what was coming.
I was going to put Jerome Luai in, and I was.
You think that Mitchell Moses is jumping on here? I know you had somebody else in your mind.
I had Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
For his performances, I
thought semi-final he had a telling contribution.
Yeah, again, because we've got the bar there for him. Even
I'm
if
not voted on this one,
still,
so we've got Mitchell Moses and Jerome Luai in.
Easy.
Right, we'll start with you, Jimmy. Props.
What props? Oh.
I'm starting 2 first of all.
Yeah, starting 2. We'll do the bench at the end.
One of my 3 England loyalty ones is Burgess, because I thought he was superb and he massively impressed me because I don't watch an awful lot of him, so he's in there. And then we'll have to probably decide start. I know he tends to come off the bench per Papali, doesn't he? But I'm going to have him. They're my 2.
Josh Papali, Tom Burgess.
They're my number 1 and number 2 props, so I'm going to leave it at that third.
I'd like to go that way first because I don't even copy.
Alright, we'll go this way and then back to you.
So I'm going to use another Samoa prop. I think he had some. I like it because he chucked in some big highlights as well, which I like. World Cup get exposure as we did with Adokar. I've got Junior Paulo for Samoa.
Good shout.
With a few of the big tackles he did. I think you were brilliant.
Have you seen my notes?
Keep it simple. No, I'm just a bit ahead of you nowadays. I do a bit more research, and then I've got that, and then I've got. And then I'm going with you, Jim. I think he. I think, like I said, I chucked him in conversations before. I think he had a bit of a quieter season than he normally does. I think he's had a few things, but he's popped out. I'm going Tom Burgess as well. My Junior Paulo, Tom Burgess.
Nick.
Well, I've got to have another Englishman in there, and I don't think anybody would disagree. Tom Burgess deserves either a starting spot in this dream team or on the bench. Yeah. So Tom Burgess, for his efforts, the work rate, the intensity in that game against Papua New Guinea was something else, and he carried that right on. I was going to put Campbell Gillard in. Thought he's an absolute mountain, a workhorse.
The
Australian prop.
Penrith.
Yeah.
He's my number 1 draft.
Well, I'm going with Campbell Gillard. I got to stick with what I believe.
Exactly. Well,
absolutely. In terms of metres made, the offloads as well. If you look at his stats, I ain't got the stats, but it was phenomenal. What you get from him as props. So Campbell Gillard, Tom Burgess, am I starting 2? Over to you, Craig.
That is your best shout of the day. I'm backing you up, Gledl. I'm going both on there.
Condescending.
I think he's my captain, by the way, as well. He is my captain.
What, you take it off Tedesco and give it to
100%. I'd let him lead. I know at Penrith he's revered. He's revered at Penrith as the man's man. He's got better with age. We used to watch him early doors. His performances of late have been absolutely outstanding. Lads, can you come back on? Don't be looking at your notes now because you don't know who he is. Me and Mick will tell you when he's in the dream team.
What's more Penrith?
Well, he is in the dream team.
I've told you everything you know about Penrith.
If you didn't pick him, it's ridiculous.
I've told you everything you know about
So there you go.
Tom Burgess is locked in and Campbell Gillard.
No, he's not locked in, Campbell Gillard. So Jimmy...
they've got
you
two are different.
So it's
the Kings are back. The Kings are back.
So it's
Gledl Harrison are back.
Burgess and
Campbell Gillard.
Gillard.
Of course it is.
And then should we do our bench while we're on?
No.
We'll come to the bench at end.
Come on, Jimmy.
But Junior Paolo doesn't get his chance. He was
but he might be on bench.
Chill out, he's going to get on bench. I'm probably going to...
No, we can't put him on bench now. He's already used his card. We can't.
Yeah, I can put him on bench.
Because he comes back, we're going to throw him back in.
Yeah, of course.
That's how we always do.
Ridiculous.
That makes complete sense.
Do you not want to stick with
that's
props?
mixed call, not yours.
I want to put Josh Papali.
Why don't we do props now?
No, Jimmy, don't try and change it.
We'll go back in circles and shit.
Hooker, this is again. I'm going to go with what's common sense.
Yeah.
God, he's condescending. Kills me.
I wanted Brandon in, but he didn't do well enough, and he's one of my favourite players.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed that he never played when we didn't get to see anywhere near the best of him. That's my opinion. I call it as it is.
Big statement.
But for me, Harry Grant, without doubt. Because of how I'm playing as well. I'm playing pick and roll, I'm playing fast.
Yeah.
I want the best front foot hooker, and he did 2 scrambles in the semi-final.
You're not picking the best
team. He did 2 scrambles in defence. I couldn't believe it. I don't know with somebody with me and said I cannot be Harry Grant 30 metres behind the full, and he made a scramble defence. For me, he is the best hooker in the world. He proved it. He got right through there. When they brought him on, every time they brought him on, the momentum changed for Australia. He brings it quicker. He's got everything. I never thought I'd say this. They said it Melbourne, Cameron Smith will never be challenged, but then they said this kid's coming and he could end up with the same type of career.
Yeah.
He's broke into Origin. He could be our next superstar hooker for the next 10 years in the game. I think he's only 24, 25, which again is ridiculous. I think he's my hooker for my... And Mick, can I tell us, mate, I'm so happy so far with my team.
I'm sure you are.
The same team.
I'm sure you are, yeah.
Sure.
I don't have Harry Grant.
That's fine.
I don't have Harry Grant. I've got a player on the same team as Harry Grant,
Mr. Ben Hunt.
Mr. Ben Hunt. For his kick for Josh Adokar alone, he's got to make my team for that perfectly placed kick for Josh Adokar's try in that
Harry Grant.
It started over Harry Grant, so yeah, that makes complete sense. I think he played unbelievable. He showed why he is one of the top 6 highest paid players in the world. I'll teach you that one.
If he was signed as an half, they had to put him hooker because he's not going to put it as an half.
Yes, he is good enough as a half. They play him at hooker. They play him at hooker because he's a brilliant off the bench.
I'll tell you. Well, anyway.
No,
you've answered your own question.
I've not answered my own question. He's a brilliant hooker. He can do both. He can play half, as you saw with the kick he did. He can do a bit of both. I like a good ball playing hooker.
He didn't pick and roll once, so you're not picking and rolling with him.
Are we playing tactics? Or are we playing who played best on the team? You'd have to. What do you mean?
I'm telling you.
What do you mean?
You've got Mark Meninga to start out over play.
Yeah, you don't. I'm not playing tactical. I'm playing who played best in the World Cup. Ben Hunt had at hooker was my hooker of the tournament by a million miles. I thought he would stand out every single game. He give us a bit of magic every game. Whether that was his kicking game was probably the best in the competition. I think he played phenomenal. His delivery of his pass was always clean. There were nothing bad he did. I've got Ben Hunt over Harry Grant as the Australian.
Well, I'm nicely at middle because I've got them both in my team, but I'm starting with Harry Grant and I'm using Hunty on the bench.
You're flipping what Mal does. Well, fair enough. I was going to put Ipapi in. I'm a championship loyalist.
Yeah,
I'm a championship loyalist.
All I was going to add was I thought from what we saw early on,
early doors,
it could have been, but I just don't think. I just can't pick him over Harry Grant. No.
You can't. Why?
Well, for the reason that I do think Harry Grant's better. It's as simple as that.
If you want to get Ipapi in, Joe, you can.
The difficult thing is that the only thing that's to argue your case a bit is you've almost got to try and imagine how players would fit in playing in the Australian team. Just like I've got 20 lads in the championship who could go into that Saints team last year and not look out of place. So the Wigan team in certain games. Yeah. So it's a good gig playing for Australia when you're getting a lot of good ball, and it would be lovely to see Ipapi play that Australian team. To see, we've got him here. I've got Ipapi here. I've not got him as quite up there yet, but we're only going to see that when we see him
in Super League
in a Super League team that is a top Super League team, and Leah heading in that direction. We're not there yet. That's when you see. You know, it's so easy for halves and hookers to stand out when they're in a team behind a pack that's dominating, isn't it? You know, it's hard. And a Pape, I just need to see a little bit more for me to be convinced that he is one of the top 5 in the world.
Well, we are going to have, I know we're not moving on to the bench, but we are going to have a second hooker on the bench. Who's your second hooker, Jimmy?
We can't chuck that in now. We just said no. We're not doing that. We did that with the props.
And I've already said I'm having. So.
Harry Grant. So it's loose next.
You've got Harry Grant.
I'm Harry.
Well,
come on, mate. Join me with Ben
no,
Hunt.
If I say Ben Hunt, I don't want. I wanted a Parpy in.
Arguing for the bench. I'll argue for the bench.
Joe, it's Mick's choice, not yours.
I'll argue for the bench.
Can't have allegiances for me.
If I go for Ben Hunt, though, that means we're all split.
Yeah.
And then Sam's the deciding vote.
If Harper.
We've got Harry Grant.
Harry Grant. There we go.
We've got the same team, except I've got Dom Young, and have you got a wing?
We've only got 2 Englishmen in.
Read what's on there.
It's a joint.
Can you remember?
Let's do the back row forwards. Joseph, you can start on the back row forwards.
The what?
Back rowers.
Back
rowers, yeah.
Second rowers, back rowers.
So one of my back rowers, I'll do a Craig House. I think we'll all agree on this, lads. He's on everyone's team, and he's got to be. He's winning. He's the man. Liam Martin for Australia. I think he got man of the match in the semi-final. He played brilliant all throughout the tournament, and I don't think anyone can disagree on that one, can they?
No.
Liam Martin, second row.
I can't, that's for sure.
Is that your 2?
Are we doing both?
Yeah.
Then my other one. I've got to. I'll get in trouble. I won't. England. I've got to chuck an England player. I don't think I've chucked any in so far, have I? But I've got to go for England.
You've had Burgess.
Yeah, no, I said that. I've had Burgess and Elliot Blackhead, i.e. the Whitehead. Elliot Whitehead. I've got in my team. I think he'd give it the best go he could for England. He'd stand up performance every single game. Wow. Elliot Whitehead, Liam Martin, my 2 second rowers.
Well, mine are Liggy Sow, Samoa. Thought he had a real good, strong tournament. And yeah, I did have Liam Martin in.
Liam Martin.
So I've gone with Liam Martin and Liggy Sow.
Cragsy.
I don't think any.
I thought you mentioned it, one of the Samoans, but before we went on air, that needed.
No, it's my other one. So I'm going to go the same as yourself, Liam Martin. But I'm also going to go a guy I saw at Fiji.
All right.
The back rower. And I'm not going to try and pronounce his name.
Kickout.
I got to watch him live. He was absolutely... Every time they went to shape, they hit him on the lead, and he probably had too much emphasis on him, and that took a lot of the other stuff, because actually people started numbering up 2 or 3 on him, which enabled the other players to get the space. When you watched it, they did. So I actually felt a bit sorry for him. But it's not a bad thing being that much of a strike for a player. Thought he was fabulous. And what I loved is his heart and his soul was in that Fijian team. He was the heart and soul of the team. I mean, I felt sorry for the Penrith hooker who had to play half, because he would have been... I'd have challenged him with Harry Grant. If he'd have played hooker for him, he didn't get a chance to play hooker for him, so we didn't actually see it. So they're my 2. So I've got...
Pick Carousel.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Got the Aussie in. First choice.
Say his name, Jimmy. It's a bit disrespectful.
Liam Martin. I think how many man of matches did he pick up on his own? I think they got 2 or 3 man of the matches, and he even got over for a couple of tries. I want to get a Kiwi in there because I feel that we're neglecting him. But the Kiwi back row that I loved based on that Leeds game, didn't really kick on. Who am I left with to?
Jimmy's struggling here, by the way. This is Jimmy's way of saying I ain't got a clue.
Not White.
We've got Liam Martin in. I've gone Liggy Sow. He's got Elliot Whitehead.
I said George Whitehead then, didn't I? Elliot Whitehead.
So whichever way you go here, Jimmy.
Owen Farrell, the rugby union player.
Jimmy, if you go away from any of it, we've got a 4-way split. So just go with who you want, not.
All right.
I wondered what you meant then, and then you said the right name.
I thought I could get him if I kept saying it. Put Liam Farrell in.
Oh God. I'm gonna go with Mick because I think for him to play out of position I do think he was superb, and I'm going to go with Mick Liggy-Sow.
Liggy-Sow, there we go.
Yeah.
Locked in, Sam.
There you go.
Liam Martin, Liggy-Sow. Okay, I'll start with the loose forward.
I feel bad for John.
I've got to have Victor
Elliot
Radley in.
Wood.
I've got to have Victor Radley in there. I mean, what a revelation. There was all the talk about, well, albeit not an Australian in the Australian sense, similar to Herbie Farnworth, but, you know, wow. Yeah, I think everyone's going to go for Victor Radley.
No. I think he's one of them that for English fans is a massive shock. I think not everyone knew who he was, didn't know how good he was.
Those that watch the NRL know how good he is.
Yeah,
Well,
even still.
what Joe's describing, I had no idea how good he
Oh,
was.
really?
But I've got two. You've got a deserved mention's got to go to Isaiah Yeo
for the Australians.
For the Australians, obviously one of the captain, I believe, for Penrith. He is the leader of men. Isaiah Yeo is awesome, so I've got to get him on my 30. I think he was one of the best players. But then I've got with Jimmy. I've got to go my New Zealand man. I mentioned him in my pre-season players to watch for New Zealand. Joseph Tarpanay, I think he was the leader of that pack for New Zealand. The 13 had some fantastic games in the pack. I think he was the man against the Aussies that brought it to them. He played phenomenal. Him and Joey Manu in that semi-final were unbelievable. Joseph Tarpanay's my pick.
There we go.
I'm with Victor, yeah.
Easy one, me, yeah.
I think he was, because I don't watch an awful lot of NRL.
Victor the Inflictor's in.
And I just think he was superb, leading from the front in defence and in attack. I thought some of his assists and his helping create things. So for me, even though somehow he got booted out of our England future team, I'm going to cement his position of how highly I rate him.
There we go.
I'll give you 2 or 3 things here. Victor, first of all, to keep Morgan Knowles from not playing loose is beyond me, because you have to be some player to keep probably our best player in our comp out, and he didn't just keep him out, it was better. They said he was as tough as what they said, pound for pound the toughest player in the NRL. Well, he certainly proved it off the field and on the field, if the rumours are right. He let the hands go, that whatever happened, I think he got top votes on both. He shocked me, I'll be honest with you. I watched him thinking, well, what is he good at? I know he's got determination, I know he's aggressive, but he could play a bit. His energy was massive. Obviously, I spoke to Trent, and I'm not name dropping here, but obviously I am. I spoke to Trent Robinson, his coach, and they're in awe of him there. They said he's just the man. So for me, anybody who wants to play loose, and I've got, Morgan Smithers, I think he's going to be a superstar coming.
Okay.
But he's got a hell of a job and the Camos to get rid of this lad, because he was that good. So Victor, the Inflictor, is my pick.
I think it was me that rubbed out Victor Radley in the end and put Cameron Smith in
Yeah.
forward. Yeah. I just wanted a nice English bit of symmetry. Right, moving on to the bench. We'll start with the interchange hooker. I've already said Edwin Ipapa.
If he's not in, I think Joseph Tarpanay's got to be in for New Zealand.
What was the hooker?
Oh, we're doing the hooker.
We're doing
bench
the hooker,
spot.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
We've all agreed we're having a second hooker.
Well, if I'm not having Ben Hunting, I've got to have Ben Hunting.
Right.
You didn't go with me, Mick, so I've got to go against you. I've got to have Ben Hunting as my second.
I'm going with Ipapa, Jimmy.
Hooker.
Well, I did say I want Hunt, but can I give Ipapa a chance in a really strong team, or stick safe with Hunt? Go on then. I will do a bit of a U-turn, and I will trust that Ipapa is that good, and in a team of that quality.
That good? He didn't in the quarterfinals.
I'm talking about from what I've seen of Ipapa over 12 months.
Yes.
I've seen signs.
But we're judging it on the World Cup.
Yeah, but I've still seen him play very, very well in the World Cup.
Did you?
Yeah.
Shocked me there, kid.
Yeah. So this is me trusting. Again, it's hard. He's playing for a weaker team. I'm saying my point earlier on is about if you put a player and if you've seen enough in a player that when they're in a stronger team. So I think it's.
That's a, 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 that's a
You've got
for the World Cup. You're judging it on.
Otherwise, I'm just going to pick the Australian team with 2 exceptions. That's why I'm looking for. So far, I've got pretty much.
And that's why I went with Jake Mason.
I'm gonna use this as a chance to put my faith in a Pape, but I do think in the stronger team, as it shows at Lee, when he's getting that chance to run, he can do it.
Craig.
I think that's one of the most ridiculous points.
Worst argument I've ever heard.
It's not about personal views.
Yeah,
we're a team. We're a team. So I'm going to throw in somebody right from the off field. But I've got him. He can play probably 5 positions, and I want him on my bench. I want him because he got the biggest heart in the World Cup. It's Ashton Golden, and I would have gone for him in day one. I want somebody who just makes my team better on and off the field. His performance in them Jamaica games, to put him in, he ended up playing prop. He ended up playing in the middle to help him out, and he went to mend nearly 60 tackles in the middle. And by the way, they didn't have an easy draw. They got they got it tough. I'll tell you now, that lad was outstanding. I have no red thingies of putting a left fielder in, which you've done, and mine's Ashton Golden.
Well, no offence to Ashton Golden, he's got a heart of gold, but I think it's ridiculous that you're putting a Jamaican player in, Craig, when this is the team, this is the dream team.
You flipped it, but you put Italian in.
Yeah, the Italian got a hat trick. He got about 5 or 6 tries in the World Cup. That's
going to do it.
And he played well.
And he played.
Lewis Singh got 5. So I put Lewis in because he got 5 tries.
Right.
Yeah, because he's the centre, and there wasn't many standout centres.
Many standout wingers.
There were loads of standout wingers.
It's ridiculous.
There were loads of standout wingers.
Anyway, right. Ashton Golden.
Yeah, Ashton Golden. You know, his effort and determination.
Are you doing your turn?
No, I'm not. But
because
you're allowed.
No.
It's to get your money.
What Craig's just having me saying.
Look at win a Pappy in.
The reason why I don't think Ashton Golden could have done any more in that World Cup, but he is going to have to make all them tackles because we're getting battered all the time.
If you're picking a Jamaican standout player, it is Ashton Golden.
Undoubtedly. But
it is. I agree. He's there on merit, very much.
And I can play 5 positions. I want utility value.
Rowan, I know you're watching. You need to phone Craig and tell him about Jake Mason.
He was unbelievable in the World Cup. I'm with you.
For forwards, Josh Papali.
Well, who have you got there? Have you told Sam who you've got?
Edwin Apapi.
Yeah,
there you go.
Sorry.
Jake Trbojevic and Josh Papali for me.
Jake Trbojevic? Oh, God.
You're not getting Joey Manu on bench then?
Hang on.
Hang on what?
We're only doing the 2 replacement forwards.
No, we're not. We can play anything on bench. You don't have to put a forward on them. It's ridiculous.
Well, I want 2 forwards on the bench.
That's your play. You brought up on the old Paul Anderson, the old Bradford pack from the day.
So you're not gonna have any size or power.
I'm having one, but I'm having Joey Manu without a doubt. I'm covering.
Yeah, but there's 4 bench spots.
We're going to play fast. We've already got 2.
I was going to come back.
We've got 1.
I was going to come. We've only done 1 bench spot.
Yeah.
I was going to come back and put Joey Manu in myself. Craig, before we started rolling, I said to you, I want Joey Manu at fullback. You said we can't play him out of position.
Which 3 players did you just... I think you just named 3 players.
Yeah, Jake Trbojevic, Josh Papali and Joey Manu. Those are my 3.
Nice.
With a Pape.
Don't mind them.
With a Pape, yeah. I think that's a very, very nice, eclectic mix of players.
I'm having a player that I thought was superb.
Well, give us your 3, Jimmy, and then.
Well, I'm gonna stick my number 1 in is Mackenzie A. I think I'd like to see him on the bench because I thought he did some real destructive running, and I think as an impact player, or even starting him, but him coming on, I'd love to see him involved. I think he's my PNG representative in there.
Yeah, another 2.
Another 2. Manu's deserves to be in the team, so he's in. He's got to be involved.
So Joey Manu is the 2nd player on the bench because Craig's already said he's going Manu.
And which props did we end up with? Burgess got in and...
Burgess got in and Campbell Gillard.
Alright, so Papali.
You're going Josh Papali.
Got 1 more, Jim.
And 1 more.
No, Papali.
Yeah.
Mackenzie A.
Yeah.
And
Manu. Right, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got Radley. I've got Manu and I've got Papali on my bench.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw 1 in here. I've thought about this long and hard because I've got a bit of something I can play. Do I need another prop?
I think to be someone's ringing.
It's your phone.
Could be that answer. Do I need another prop? Do I need any more sides?
Listen, we can pause if that's the Bradford deal.
No.
It's George King saying you better put me in.
Could be George King saying, have you give me a mention, but... Okay, I'm going to go with prop, you've done me, and I'm going to go with somebody just... We haven't got many England players in, and I thought this man... I said if he had a good World Cup, I couldn't believe it. He's reinvented himself in that World Cup. He's been a great year anyway, but for me,
Chris Hill on bench.
I'm going to go with Chris Hill. He actually shocked me. Do you know what? You look at Warrington now. You're thinking when you thought he'd had enough, and you thought this, but you're looking now after that World Cup, and you're thinking he's probably got another 2 years at that level. For me, he was outstanding.
He's done exactly what Jamie Peacock did.
Yeah,
It's like a fine wine and reinvented himself.
He has.
He's kept himself fit, injury-free.
I'm having Chris Hill on the bench.
So based on what you've said, Josh Papali is the third player. So we've got Ipape, Manu. Hang on, we've got Ipape, Manu and Papali. Joe, who is gonna be your two? Because
I get three.
Yeah.
I've got to have the two. I'm re-going the two players I wanted in my team. I want Isaiah Yeo on the bench. I think he can play 13. He can play prop. He can probably play second row.
Yeah.
I've got Isaiah Yeo. I've got Joseph Tarpanay. Same deal as my two big men that can play all around the pack. And then as my third, can I go? Will you allow me to go someone else other than Joey Manu? I would have Joey Manu in, but
Joey Manu's already in.
He's in, so I'll just give someone else a shout out. I'm gonna go Elliot Whitehead again. So I've got my three players in that I like. Got Tarpanay, Yeo and Whitehead. I think that's the best bench.
So who gets the last one?
Elliot Whitehead.
Elliot Whitehead?
Yeah.
Well, no, he's only had one vote.
Oh, he's only got one vote.
I've just mentioned.
I think it's a split pot now for the last spot.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
No one like Mackenzie, eh? No one impressed with him.
I'll go with Joe. I'll lose a player. My last one, I'll lose
Whitehead.
Chris Hill. I'll go with Blackhead. I think he was outstanding.
There we go.
I'm happy with Blackhead over Chris Hill.
I was trying to be diplomatic. I said, let's have another England player.
No, I like it.
Sorry, Mr. Trebojevic. Sam, have you got it all wrote down?
Oh, God, I'm a bit nervous what we've got here, lads. Come on, big, build it up.
We need to agree on captain, though, don't we? Because Craig picked his prop as captain over Tedesco.
Tedesco, surely captain of the Australian team. You've got to have him.
Campbell.
He wasn't the captain of the Australian
Right.
team. I can't reinvent him.
Meninga's got to pick Tedesco.
We need to sort out the captain, you're right.
Tedesco.
So that's it then. Good Tedesco.
Campbell Gillard.
Campbell
Oh,
Gillard.
split pot.
I love Campbell Gillard.
Quickly, are you budging?
No.
No.
Are you budging?
Sam, sorry, I'm definitely not budging. Sam?
If Mal Meninga picks Tedesco, it's a no-brainer.
You just said don't say it, and then you tried to persuade Sam. That's ridiculous.
Oh, you never
To be fair,
You do that every time you talk.
Tedesco is the Australian captain.
Right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Oh my God! That's ridiculous. It's all back to that Italian said to you. Horrible.
You can call me Judas Iscariot. Right, coach Mal Meninga. Assistant coach, the Batman villain, Matt Parrish. Someone actually said to him,
That's a great shout out.
They said it looks like the Batman villain, and he sat there like looking which one. Right, we're keeping it serious. Here we go. Fullback, the captain, James Tedesco. The wingers, we've got Josh Adokar and Dominic Young. Centres, Jack Wrighton and Stephen Crichton. A nice little bit of White and Crichton in there. In the halfbacks, we've got Mitchell Moses and Jerome. I always get this Luai. I always get the surname wrong. In the forwards, we've got Tom Burgess and Campbell Gillard. Harry Grant at hooker. Back row forwards, Liam Martin and Liggy Sow at loose forward. Victor Radley. And on the bench, we've got Edwin Ipape, Joey Manu, Josh Papali and Elliot Whitehead. Nice. And a very, very special honourable mention to Valentine's Holmes, Josh Mansour, Jake Mason, my man, Justin Olam, of course, from Melbourne, at Papua New Guinea Centre, Tim Lafayette, Junior Paulo, who didn't get in.
Yeah, I know.
That was Joe's shout. Ben Hunt didn't get in.
Crazy.
That was Joe's shout.
It's crazy what we've done.
And Tarpanay, Joe's shout, that didn't get in.
I've got 15 out of 17
Crazy.
in there, son.
And Craig's shout, which was Aston Golding, who also didn't get in. In fact, I'm just looking here. Ben Hunt's questioned it quite a few times.
You turned on him, that's why.
Mick, give them the thing what to do for the competition, and let's hopefully we get a couple of hundred teams and we can pick out.
So
one
yeah,
to beat. I don't think they'll beat it. We might get our own. We might be going to the opening game.
No one will
Unless
beat
Joe
our
gets.
team.
What
yes.
Joe could do is get Frankie to put 100 on the name. He'll vote it.
So yeah,
It's crazy. We've missed out on some.
if you're watching the show, head to the comments below and please name your World Cup dream team.
Can I finish this? I will get a top leading Super League coach to pick out the best one. I will do it. So if you put it in, I'm not going to mention it because I haven't asked him, but I'll pick one of the top 3 coaches or 4, whatever you want to call it. We'll pick this, and if he gets the nearest to what he picks, the best team he picks, including ours, we'll get the tickets to the first game.
Right.
There we go. Right. We've locked it in. We've locked it in for years to come. We can never ever look back on this and think that poor Ben Hunt and Tarpanay and all Joe's players didn't get in. Sorry, Joe.
A couple of our biggies, because we're going to switch this off now and go on to our full 80, but there were 2 people who are big fans that have been here from the start. Brett and Andy Dodds, I want you both in. If you're going to give it a good to beat what we've beat, again, I don't think you can, but a special mention to you guys and give it a go. Both highly thought of, but I'd like to see what they come up with.
So the winning...
And Rowan Smith's a massive fan. Like, wonder if Rowan could put one in. This will be... Dare he do it? Mr. Smith, dare you go against what we've got here?
I want Rowan to tell you about Jake Mason.
Well, get his team in, and we'll get somebody to vote whether we think it's the right team.
So
the best team.
Just to confirm, the winning applicant is going to be who gets closest to the Super League coaches.
No, he'll pick the best team. We'll give him them all.
Oh, he's
I
going
don't
to
think
pick
he can
out
spend half an hour and do it for
It's
us.
a pair of tickets to the opening round of the Super League, the Championship League One. So if you win, you might want to go watch Bradford versus Whitehaven at Odson.
Halifax, Sheffield.
I'm not going to comment. It's ridiculous. Come on, thank you. And I'll tell you one thing. I bet they don't pick either of them. I'm not kidding.